For me, Pioneers of Change actually started with Oscar Mutamura, a Brazilian executive who was involved in ISEC, this international student organization that I was a part of, and others of the founders of Pioneers of Change were also parts of. And he came to visit me in Brussels, the international office of ISEC International, to speak to me about the challenge that he saw with several members of ISEC who, after they left the organization, went into corporate life and somehow through the years lost the sparkle and the glint in their eyes and the passion and the beliefs they had for what is possible. We said, well, you know, there's some pretty amazing people that are out there and that are really struggling. It could happen to us as well. And so we decided that we wanted to do something about that. And we wanted to create something, an organization, a network, an initiative, something that could support people like us that had very strong values and beliefs around a different way of living and working and doing business. That was our focus at that time. To carry that with us into the world of work. I feel like I've always had a role somehow of challenging people to connect in with their idealism and you know, the wildest dream they could possibly have, and you know, what is your vision for the world, and why don't you follow it? And wow, already in ISEC, I feel like that was the role that I was playing. And then I think it was actually sometimes even really painful to be working with people on something like the World Summit for Social Development, or something that we really believed in and we were truly passionate about. And then you meet people a little bit later and they're like, you know, no more time for that because, you know, I've got to live up to this expectation of my boss, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And just the whole, I mean, I remember actually it just became really annoying to constantly hear the real world and be challenged on not understanding the real world. And yet, essentially to me, the power lies in connecting with your passions and your beliefs and committing yourself to them and finding ways of moving them forward. And so Pioneers of Change has gradually moved from being about helping individuals discover their passion and getting the courage to move with it, to a learning community of people that are constantly in a process of following their passions, but also really learning and reflecting and wanting to make the dreams really practical, and help each other continue to do that. And so that's for me right now what Pioneers of Change is, and what makes it very vibrant is that it's not just lots of young students having intellectual conversations around how the world should be, but it's many, many young people in different countries and contexts actually doing very different things, but having that same sense of being united because we have a shared belief in a different way of doing things. So what is the Pioneers of Change way of doing things? You know, ask any pioneer and you'll get a different answer. To me, we're learning and experimenting with a way of organizing that works with life, capital L. So they're processes that limit and shut down and cut off and try to be in charge and control and think that we can know the outcome. And then they're processes that open up and invite in creativity and randomness and chaos and heart. and you often come out really surprised, but again with more than you expected going into it. So there's something about a more life-giving, a more alive way of doing things, and it, from the interaction between two people to the way you organize 100 people coming together for a gathering. But it seems to me that a common denominator in the Pioneers of Change network is a sense of the potential for magic when you work in certain ways, and a desire to discover what are those ways. And I feel like my own journey through Pioneers of Change into creating a learning village in Zimbabwe is that the universe wants to work with us when we're working for a greater good, when we're working in service to others, and that we can learn to dance with that and actually find that we're not living in a hostile, dark environment, but in a very supportive, creative, vibrant place, regardless where we are.